Everybody knows Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, come on. If you've ever touched a dumbbell in your life, you know the name. The guy is everywhere. Seven-time Mr. Olympia, Hollywood superstar, governor of California. He's the man who made bodybuilding cool. He turned lifting weights, something that used to be a fringe thing for a handful of gym rats, into pop culture. Arnold is the reason gyms became mainstream, the reason half the world even knows what bodybuilding is. But here's the thing, and this might surprise a lot of you. Arnold, the man we all grew up looking up to, the ultimate icon of fitness. He himself had a hero. Yeah. Even the great Schwarzenegger looked at someone else and thought, that's the standard, that's the guy I want to be. And that someone wasn't another bodybuilder from California. It wasn't Steve Reeves, it wasn't Reg Park, though those guys mattered too. No, the man who lit the fire inside Arnold was a Soviet weightlifter, a man whose name most people in the West barely even know today. But in the iron game, in the history of strength, he's untouchable. His name was Yuri Vlasov. Now, let me tell you why this matters. See, when you talk about legends, you realize they don't just appear out of nowhere. Legends are built on inspiration. Even the guys we think of as the absolute peak, Arnold, Ronnie Coleman, whoever your hero is, they all had someone who made them believe greatness was possible. For Arnold, that spark came the day he saw Yuri Vlasov lift. Picture this. It's 1961. Arnold is just a skinny Austrian teenager. No fame, no muscles yet, just a kid obsessed with the idea of getting stronger. He sneaks into a weightlifting meet in Vienna, probably not even realizing that day will change his life forever. The arena is packed. The atmosphere is heavy, tense. People aren't just there to see guys lift weights. They're there to witness something historic. And then, stepping onto the platform, comes Yuri Vlasov. Now, let me put this into perspective for you. At that time, weightlifting wasn't flashy. There were no TV contracts, no supplement sponsorships, no Instagram followers. It was raw. It was man against iron. And Vlasov? He looked like he was forged out of steel. Calm, focused, no theatrics. Just this quiet confidence, like he already knew the barbell was his. The weights get loaded. People are whispering, that's impossible. No human can lift that. And then, boom, Vlasov rips it off the floor, drives it overhead, and locks it out like it was nothing. Over 200 kilos. Think about that. More than two average men combined, being launched overhead with perfect form. The crowd goes insane. And in that moment, young Arnold is frozen. He's not just impressed, he's transformed. Because here's the thing, seeing strength in real life, not on a poster or in a magazine, but up close, changes you. Arnold later said that when he saw Vlasov lift, he realized what true greatness looked like. That was the standard. That was the moment he decided, I want to be that. I want to live for that. From then on, Vlasov wasn't just a name to Arnold. He was a vision. Arnold went home and hung a photo of Yuri Vlasov in his room, so every single day, he'd wake up and see his hero staring back at him. That picture wasn't just decoration. It was fuel. It was the reminder that if Vlasov could push the limits of human strength, then maybe, just maybe, Arnold could push his own. All right, let's break it down. You've heard me talk about Yuri Vlasov as the guy who inspired Arnold, but let's look at what he actually did on the platform. Because this isn't just about stories or inspiration. The man was a monster in competition. In 1960, at the Rome Olympics, Vlasov wasn't just competing, he was rewriting the history books. He won the gold medal in the heavyweight category, and that alone would have been enough to cement his name. But what blew people's minds was how he did it. He became the first man in history to clean and jerk over 200 kilos. 200 kilos. You gotta understand, back then this wasn't just pushing the limit. This was obliterating it. Nobody thought it was humanly possible. And Vlasov just walks up, calm, almost stoic, and lifts it like destiny itself had picked him for that moment. And that was just the beginning. Over the course of his career, he set more than 30 world records. Think about that. Not one, not five, not even 10. Over 30. That means every time people thought they had caught up, every time the sport adjusted to the new normal, Vlasov came back and pushed the line further. He made the impossible routine. In the Soviet Union, he wasn't just a champion, he was a national hero. Newspapers called him a modern bogatyr, a kind of mythical warrior from Russian folklore. To the people, he wasn't lifting just for himself. He was lifting for the pride of an entire nation. And the crazy part? He carried that pressure with dignity. No arrogance, no showboating, just raw focus and discipline. For athletes like me, that's what sets him apart. Anybody can have a good day, maybe set a record once. But Vlasov lived at that level. He trained, competed, and carried himself like the standard was always higher than what anyone else imagined. That's why, when Arnold saw him, it wasn't just about the weight on the bar. It was about the way Vlasov redefined what strength meant. So when I say Yuri Vlasov was the true giant, I don't mean just in size or numbers. I mean in presence, in legacy. He wasn't chasing records. He was building history. Now here's the part about Yuri Vlasov that really separates him from almost every other strength athlete in history. Because yeah, he was insanely strong. He was a world champion, an Olympic gold medalist, a record breaker. But if you stop the story there, you miss the real essence of the man. Vlasov wasn't just a lifter of weights. He was a lifter of ideas. See, most athletes live inside the gym. Their whole identity is wrapped up in training, competing, beating numbers, and there's nothing wrong with that. But Vlasov, he thought deeper. He believed that strength wasn't only physical. He used to talk about strength as something moral, spiritual, even intellectual. To him, lifting a barbell was just one expression of a bigger truth, that discipline, resilience, and courage were the real foundation of power. And this is where, as a bodybuilder, I really respect him, because I know what it feels like when you're under the bar. It's not just your muscles that are being tested, it's your will, it's your mind telling you either quit or one more rep. Vlasov lived that philosophy to the fullest. He didn't separate the gym from life. For him, it was all one battlefield, and the weight was just a symbol of the challenges we face. On top of that, the guy was an intellectual. After training, he wasn't just pounding steak and eggs. He was reading, writing, reflecting. He wrote books, essays, and spoke about the meaning of human strength. And here's what's wild. Arnold picked up on that. Arnold wasn't inspired by just the muscles or the lifts. He was inspired by the idea that strength is an identity, that it's about who you are, not just what you can lift. That's why, when Arnold built his career, it was never just about building a body. It was about building an image, a persona, a lifestyle. And whether people realize it or not, a lot of that mindset came straight from Yuri Vlasov's philosophy. To me, this is why Vlasov's legacy is so much bigger than records or medals. Records get broken. Medals collect dust. But ideas outlive everything. Look, we all know how the story of Arnold Schwarzenegger played out. The guy became the face of bodybuilding. 7-time Mr. Olympia, the man who took the sport from dusty gyms to the global stage. Then he conquered Hollywood, politics, pop culture, you name it. He's the most recognizable figure in the history of fitness, period. But here's the piece that most people forget. And for me, this is where it gets really interesting. Even Arnold himself admitted that without Yuri Vlasov, there might not have been an Arnold Schwarzenegger at all. Think about that for a second. The guy we all call the GOAT, the icon, the ultimate motivator, had his own motivator. Arnold used to tell the story of that first encounter, how Vlasov's photo hung on his wall, how seeing him lift changed his entire trajectory. And that's not just some cute anecdote. That's foundational. That's the moment where the idea of Arnold the Champion was born. And this is where I think we need to keep it real, because people today only see the end result. They see the glory, the magazine covers, the movie stardom. They don't always ask, who lit the fire that got him there? And the answer, plain and simple, is Yuri Vlasov. That's why I say, even legends have legends. You look at Arnold and you think, that guy is untouchable. But behind him was a giant, casting an even bigger shadow. And that shadow was Vlasov. He wasn't in the spotlight of Hollywood. He wasn't selling tickets at the box office. But in terms of pure influence, pure respect inside the iron world, he was on another level. It's kind of poetic, honestly. Arnold became the world's strongest image, while Vlasov remained the world's strongest soul. Here's the truth, and it's the way I see it as someone who's lived in this sport. Arnold became the face of bodybuilding, no question. He put muscles on the map. He made the gym a global symbol. He showed the whole world that lifting iron could build not just bodies, but dreams. Arnold is the reason half the planet even knows what Mr. Olympia is. But Yuri Vlasov, he was the soul of strength. And that's the difference I want you to feel. Arnold gave us the image, the posters, the movies, the charisma, the aura of bodybuilding. But Vlasov gave us the essence. He showed that strength isn't just for cameras. It's not about flexing under stage lights. It's about discipline when no one is watching, courage when the weight feels impossible, and dignity in how you carry that strength outside the gym. For me, as a bodybuilder, that's where the respect kicks in. Because muscles fade, fame fades, even records get broken. But character, philosophy, the kind of example that inspires generations, that's permanent. Think about that ripple effect. Vlasov inspires Arnold. Arnold inspires the entire fitness world. And now, even today, lifters like me are still carrying that torch. That's how legacies work in this game. It's not about one guy. It's about passing down the fire. So, when you think about bodybuilding, yeah, give Arnold his flowers. He earned them. He's the icon, no doubt. But don't forget the man who shaped Arnold's mindset, the man who showed him what true greatness looks like. Don't forget Yuri Vlasov, because in the end, that's the lesson. Greatness doesn't come from nowhere. Even legends need role models. And if Arnold Schwarzenegger, the greatest bodybuilder of all time, could look up to Yuri Vlasov, then maybe we all can. Arnold became the face. Vlasov was the soul. And together, they wrote a story that will outlast every medal, every trophy, every record. That's strength. That's legacy. And that's why Yuri Vlasov will always matter.